Good afternoon and welcome to SphinxCon. We are looking forward to engaging in exciting and important conversations regarding diversity and inclusion in the performing arts over the next few days, not only with our attendees here in Detroit, but with those of you joining us virtually through the live stream. I'm Abigail Vanneman, the Director of Artistic Affairs with the Sphinx organization. And before we officially begin, I wanted to share a few details of the conference with you. In the tote bag you received upon checking in, you will find a number of items, including the program book for the conference. The program book includes information on local restaurants, a schedule of presentations, biographies for the speakers participating in the conference, and more. As you may have seen on your tables, we have provided a number of blank posters and markers. We encourage you to doodle, color, and create community art inspired by your experience at SphinxCon. At the end of the convening, we will display the art to illustrate how different people express themselves and where there might be similarities. This evening, the Sphinx Symphony Orchestra will be gathering just outside the ballroom immediately following the Arthur L. Johnson Memorial Series interview, starting at 9 o'clock. The Sphinx Symphony Orchestra is America's unique Black and Latino professional ensemble who will be joining Sphinx competition participants this weekend as the nation's top Black and Latino musicians compete for a prize of $50,000. At tonight's gathering, there will be a cash bar available, and you are all welcome to attend. This might be a great way to meet your fellow conference attendees, as well as the wonderful musicians of the Sphinx Symphony Orchestra. During meal times throughout the weekend, please note that the ballroom will be closed. However, the ballroom will be locked, but we cannot guarantee the safety of any belongings, so we encourage you to take them with you when you leave. We have a number of talented liaisons working with us to make this conference a success, and several of them will be stationed just outside the ballroom at the registration table. They can help you sign into the conference if you haven't done so already, and can also help to answer any questions you may have. If you are active on social media, we invite you to engage in a virtual conversation on diversity and inclusion. To that end, please feel free to tweet at SphinxCon, hashtag SphinxCon on Twitter or Facebook, and join the Google+ SphinxCon community. And now, to officially begin SphinxCon, I'd like to introduce the founder and president of the Sphinx organization. Named a 2005 MacArthur Fellow, a former member of the Obama National Arts Policy Committee, and President Obama's first appointment to the National Council on the Arts, Aaron P. Dworkin is an author, social entrepreneur, artist citizen, and an avid youth education advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Dworkin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to SphinxCon 2015, Engage. On behalf of the entire Sphinx team, I am thrilled to welcome you to this year's convening, both everyone here as well as those joining virtually. The driving purpose, the very charge of SphinxCon is to elevate the conversation on diversity and inclusion in the arts to a level encompassing our greater community of leaders who will empower change. And that is, in the end, each and every one of you, again, here in the room as well as online. And it's only fitting that our hometown, our beloved Detroit, the epicenter of culture with a legendary history in the performing arts, serve as host for our unique gathering. Throughout the weekend, we will hear from the most exciting roster of speakers, both within our field as well as outside. For the first time in the history of SphinxCon, we have imagined a new format in which engagement, discourse, and conversation are the key to inclusion. And perhaps the ethos behind this year's convening resonates well with the words of the great Nelson Mandela, who said, "A great leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end both he and the other side must be closer and thus emerge stronger." I'm incredibly excited about the great communal learning in which we will engage with one another, discussing, potentially debating, and evolving our own individual as well as collective thinking on these important issues which confront our field. You'll hear more about this specific format under each track described from our illustrious facilitator who needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. He is an actor, he is a businessman, he's an author. He is no stranger to Broadway, having performed in many plays, published a multitude of award-winning books and countless articles, started a publishing company, taught at Juilliard, Stanford, NYU, Tanglewood, Lincoln Center Institute, and the Kennedy Center. He was the faculty chair of the Empire State Partnership Program for 3 years, the largest arts in education project in America, held one of 6 chairs on the College Board's Arts Advisory Committee for 7 years. Major press around the world describe him as, quote, the father of the teaching artist profession, one of the 50 most important US leaders, one of America's most creative teachers and best teachers of creativity, and an essential leader in the US and world El Sistema movement. Today, and over the next couple of days, we are so fortunate to have him facilitate our discussion and help us delve into so many aspects of inclusion, ranging from issues of gender equality, philanthropic equity, cultural representation in the arts, and far beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my true honor to introduce to you a man admired by many and one of my personal heroes, Eric Booth.
That was really nice, thanks. Hello, everyone. My job as facilitator is going to be to keep us moving along. You're going to see me take on several roles to help accomplish the goals of this conference. One is as Amtrak announcer, where I will sort of be setting up what's about to happen. You will see me in my role of consistently providing grossly inadequate introductions of the many speakers, and in one of my most common roles as time cop. Somehow life has cast me in this role. I often find myself in the position of going from this look to the dirty looks of Speed Up, right down to standing up and making threatening physical gestures. And the purpose here is not so much to just enjoy control factors, but in fact to embody inclusion. Because for every person who runs long, someone else gets stinted in a structure like this. So really to honor and embody our idea of diversity and inclusion, we're really going to honor the structures that let people have the full amount of time they're expecting. Let me give you a little introduction to the structure that you're going to meet throughout our days, because there's a big role for you in them. Of our many presentations, the basic structure is going to be a presenter who has about 15 minutes to lay out something provocative, significant. It's got a focal topic, and it's Velcro. It's got all kinds of potential hooks on it. We will have 2 or 3 responders who will have a chunk of time to respond, and we have to have a brief etymology pause. Those of you who know me, I'm an etymology freak, and very often I love to unpack the history of a word because I find that buried underneath it is something essential that we have forgotten. And to respond etymologically means to promise back. And indeed, that's what we're asking of our responders and of you in your role of responding, is to actually take that personal act of commitment and promise something back to the offer of that presenter. So our responders will have about 15 minutes, and we may have some interaction. We don't quite know how that's going to go, but it leaves 20 minutes at the end of each presenter's time to include the audience's response. And we're going to try different ways to make this work. And what making this work means is to see if we can activate your promising back in a way to advance us toward what Aaron just announced as the goal of this conference, which is to help us empower change. So the crucial question is valuable for the group. The observation or the example that really answers something that you feel is collectively going to be valuable, what we're looking to do is empower change. And I will mention it, although I'm sure it would never happen here in Detroit. The open mic has, in the history of conferences, not been the happiest experience for the rest of people in the room on occasion. When someone has taken the opportunity to kind of tell how great their program is, or to unload a personal view that they've just been dying to tell people about. All of that is important stuff to happen, but it doesn't help us help us empower change. So what we're going to try to do in those 20-minute chunks after every presenter is we'll try different formats. It may be that I'll ask you to kind of turn and talk to your table partners about what's hot for you, what's buzzing for you based on what we've heard, and is there something that came up in those 3 minutes of talk that's important to share? Or somebody got a real clarifying question that will cut to the chase of something? Or is there just a clarification that's necessary? But I'm going to encourage us to be concise and to really stay on the topic introduced by our presenter. And we'll have about 20 minutes for that in each case. After that, there's a 10-minute, what looks like in your schedule, looks like a 10-minute break. It kind of is and it kind of isn't. It's not like a normal conference break, which then takes 18 minutes and we end up trying to drag you in and we lose the momentum. We're going to ask you to stay in the room and take those minutes while the next group sets up, but it's a reflective opportunity for you to check in on that topic with your colleagues. Is there some action item you want to consider? Do you need to check something out with somebody else in the room about that topic? But actually make use of those 10 minutes, unless you need to go to the John, of course, but to really think of those 10 minutes as a further extension of engagement in the topic and not just a 10-minute break to check out. We're going to see how this works, and our hope is that really with enough energy pushing toward that goal, we can keep making use of these varieties of ways in which we're going to engage. There's 3 little plaques on my desk at home that I rely on when I get lost. One of them says, "Make stuff," which is a reminder whenever I'm kind of lost my way, just shut up and re-engage in the act of making stuff you care about, and everything starts to come back together in a more comprehensible way. The second plaque that I should have brought for this conference says, "Be the thing," which is an inelegant way of saying what Gandhi said, we must be that change we wish to see in the world. But be the thing, the reminder for us is to try to live in this room over the next couple of days the practices of inclusion, of respecting diversity, and in fact making diversity an enhancement to our inquiry, to actually live those in the way we work together and see if in fact by living those values and sharing in ways that are truly respectful and advancing, we can, at the end of this time, empower the change we all have in mind. So my role will be to help move things along. One of those roles, I'm not going to read all the bio stuff about all our speakers. They all have really impressive bios that deserve to be spoken at length, probably with background music, and we're not going to do that. They are there available in your book, so be sure to check them out as people are speaking in the onstage section. There's a good, long, juicy bios when you want to find out more about the speakers. I'm going to do a really tacky version of it in the endeavor really to just get things moving. Do we have any logistical questions we want to touch on before we jump in with both feet? Anyone? You are being live streamed. I just wanted to make sure new arrivals heard that. So I don't know what that says about what behavior you may want to engage in the room. But whatever it is, there'll be a lot more people than are here in the room will be attending to whatever it is we do. It's also good for us to know that what we say here actually has a much larger ripple effect with colleagues around the country who are interested in what's happening here. And it's probably worth mentioning for others in the room who go to a lot of other conferences, I admit, you've seen me at many of them, I am a conference slut and appear at many of them. This is a unique opportunity. We don't get to have this conversation at other conferences. Consequently, it's a real opportunity to focus and push forward around these delicate issues that we too easily dodge or under-address or let sustain in ways that seem unsustainable. This is the chance for us to really empower some change with the quality of our focus here in the room and outside.